Hello everyone, in this episode of Motive Garage we are getting our R35 GTR calipers refurbished to be better than new. Now, if you've been watching previous episodes, you would know that we got some R35 GTR brake calipers for our R33 GTR off eBay in the United States. Now, when they arrived, they were simply, well, they were crap. At least one of them had been repainted the wrong colour, and they were just in terrible condition. But I wasn't too worried looking at the photos online because I knew I was going to repaint them how I wanted them anyway. But when they did turn up, they looked like they'd come off a wrecked car and been used as soccer balls around the workshop floor. But not the end of the world, I did get them relatively cheap and I simply couldn't find any here in Australia, and I knew that I'd get them refurbished. Now, if you want to repaint your calipers and make them look fresh, you've got a few different options. The easy option, obviously, is leave them on the car, give them a quick little clean, maybe a little bit of a sand, and then you mask them up, and then you can essentially get paint that's designed for painting brake calipers and just spray them on the car. We've had good results with that on our R32 GTR and a few other project cars, and it does work pretty well. But our R35 ones were a lot more damaged than that, so the next step is you need to obviously pull the brake calipers off, completely reassemble them, remove the pistons, the seals, and the bleeders, and all of the lines on them so they can be professionally cleaned, and then you can send them off to either get painted or powder coated. Hey, or you can paint them yourself if you like. Now, the problem with this is you need to do most of the work, I guess, to try and tidy them up, because most powder coaters will just throw them in and powder coat them. They're not interested in doing any sort of repair work or making them any better, and most painters are a similar sort of deal. They'll do the basic prep work and they'll just paint them. Now, what if you want to go one step further? What if you want to smooth out the rough casting? What if you want to get rid of the factory casting lines? What if you want to actually repair the brake calipers, get the prep work done properly, and then make them look better than new when they're done? Well, we found one place that will actually go that extra step and make these things better than brand new. And that's Tommy from Produced Factory. Now, it's a lot of work, but we're going to run you through the process that he did to get our R35 calipers looking better than new.
The first step in refurbishing the calipers is to degrease and wash them. They are then dropped into an acid bath to help strip off all of the old paint. It's pretty nasty stuff, but it does the trick after soaking them in there for a day. Once out of the acid bath, the calipers are then pressure washed to remove the debris, and then they are baked to help essentially burn out any leftover paint and contaminants and let it come out of the top layer of metal. Now, this is where Produce Factory works their magic, hand finishing the calipers. The imperfections in the calipers are sanded smooth, and Tommy also sanded out some of the casting lines, making for a much smoother finish on the caliper. The final piece of prep is media blasting, but they must be masked up first to protect the threads and bores for the pistons and stop material being lodged inside the caliper. The masking process is time consuming but makes the difference between a good and perfect job. All of the parts are then media blasted back to raw and clean finish. With everything clean, they need to be masked and plugged. This is a time-consuming process, but once again ensures the threads and critical parts that can't be coated are protected and helps ensure a good finish. After extensive prep work, the parts are now ready for coating. Unlike paint, powder coating does not need primer and multiple layers that need to dry. Powder coating is a dry process that relies on an electric charge to ensure the powder sticks to the surface. Essentially, the powder has an electrical charge in it, while the parts are earth, meaning the powder is attracted and sticks to it. Then it cures in an oven to create a strong bond and it gets its final colour. Powder coating is considered much more durable and able to handle heat compared to paint. This is why people often powder coat wheels, calipers and engine bay parts. You can see when the powder goes on initially, the colour is nothing like the gold that we chose on the colour chart, but that's normal. The next step is to remove the plugs, then bake them in an oven to cure. While the calipers were baking, Tommy set about polishing the brake pad locating pins as they can't be coated as they have tight clearance tolerances. Once cured, you can see the true colour of the gold on the calipers. Tommy then masked up the lines, bolts and brackets to be powder coated in satin black. It's important to mask the threads to protect them for later. Tommy then remasked and plugged the calipers to get them ready for the clear coat. The clear coat looks white when it first goes on, but like the base coat, changes colour when curing in the oven. It is also important to remove the plugs before going into the oven to cure for the final time, and we wait to see the final result.
The only way to explain the finished product of these brake calipers is simply incredible. They are better than brand new. I didn't think powder coating could come out this good, and I've shown these to a couple of people in the industry and they just don't believe that this was done with powder coating. The finish is that good. They believed it had to be paint to come out this good, but just goes to show that the prep work that Tommy did on these brake calipers leads to such a perfect result. Little things like polishing the pins because you can't put powder coat on there due to clearance issues, but then still powder coating the end of the bolts and powder coating the bracket and lines. That means the overall finished product just looks awesome. The black and gold theme is going to continue through the whole car. Now, as you can expect, a finish like this isn't cheap. I mean, you know, you can drop them off to a powder coater, pay a few $100. You are not going to get a finish this good. There's probably 2 days worth of work in this, even 2.5 days. So expect to spend probably $2,500 to get 4 calipers done to this standard, because the powder that he uses is also very high quality as well. Now, it doesn't worry us too much, simply because we got the calipers relatively cheap. So if you combine the cost of the calipers and the work that we got done, the overall price is still less than buying brand new ones, and still less than buying an equivalent brake caliper from a new manufacturer and then having them powder coated that color. So overall, it's still quite cost effective for us. From here, what do we need to do? Well, we need to get the pistons reinstalled. We're going to put brand new seals in. Got to find ourselves a nice Brembo sticker, and then we can get the R35 adapter kit to get them installed onto the car.